what do we prioritize? So if you have got the question, you can prioritize your own life decisions, your career choices, you can prioritize business aspects, you can prioritize which markets you would like to enter into. You can prioritize some of the product aspects like the features, the releases, the functionality requirements. You can prioritize the technology aspects, which platforms, what operating systems, which devices. There are so many options and so many choices that you need to kind of pick and choose which ones work out better than the other. And that's all about prioritization. It's all about the decisions. Business strategies, when it comes to business strategies and business aspects, the senior management, the salespersons, the marketing teams, the business development team, these are the people, these are the teams, they would actually kind of structure, they strategize, they actually look at what are the options we have, what kind of roadmap we can actually kind of embark in the next one year, next 5 years. What are competitors doing? What are the kind of options that we can lay in for the next 3 quarters? What directions we need to go? What kind of products should we enter into the services segment? Should we enter into Asian markets? Should we enter into American markets? What about the European markets? How we're doing within each market? What are the other options we can have? Can we merge our businesses with something else? Do we have the merger and acquisition options? So all of these decisions are actually being taken on the business front, and the strategy is laid out there. And in terms of the staffing plans, we actually need to look at the people involved, the kind of skills that we need to get on board. If we have got a project, this project needs, let's say, 5 developers, 2 architects, 3 testers. So we are actually on 2 analysts and 1 subject matter expert. We need to have a Scrum Master to run the Agile project. We need to have a product owner, some designated role. So many things to actually look into, right? So it's all about prioritization. You're prioritizing the team structures, the resources. You're looking at the people who are coming on board, what comes first. Again, prioritization is not just in terms of planning, but also what is it that is the most important and urgent now, rather than something that I can actually do later, right? So that's the prioritization aspect. So if you want to start a project, which is to build a e-commerce website that we talked about the last time, for selling mobile accessories, what is the most important thing, most urgent thing that you need to do now as part of a team? You need to have at least 1 or 2 developers. We need to have an analyst who understands the whole aspect of e-commerce. How does that work? We need to have an architect to actually come up with a blueprint for the whole technology and infrastructure roadmap for this, the deployment architecture, the component architecture. And do we need to have testers? Yeah, better to involve them in the first instance, so we can have 1 tester to actually start thinking the test strategy and the test plans, right? So we are now talking about having at least this team of 6 people to start off in a lean way. And as and when we actually get into the next level, we can actually think in terms of getting more people. Oh, we need to have Python developer. We need to have a backend developer. We need to have a database expert. We need to have a DBA, the database administrator, for managing the database on, let's say, Oracle or SQL. So depending on the technology or the platform or the operating system that you have decided, you then prioritize the number of resources, the kind of resources and the people that you would need. We need to have a cloud infrastructure if you're going cloud, we need to have a server. If you're hosting it on-premise, we need to have a server to host this website. So all of these decisions you're prioritizing. But then the reason why I'm saying prioritization is because not all of them are urgent. Some of them can actually wait for a later point of time. For example, the decision to choose a hosting partner. Should we go cloud or should we host it in-house with some of the local servers that we install in our own premises? Or should we host with some third-party hosting partner like Just Host or Do Host or Big Daddy, whatever. So we decide that. We can decide these slightly later when it comes to that point. But for now, we can prioritize that. We need to first look at the aspect of the vision, what should go in first, what is the release plan, so the product management aspect comes into picture, right? So that's the whole idea of prioritization. And then we go ahead with the implementation, with the actual work, doing the work, and then trying to come up with a solution, trying to actually work on the solution, make sure that the solution is actually developed in its full entirety. In the context of e-commerce website, the functionality of the catalog should actually be ready. So we should have a front end, kind of a design, on the UI web page, so people can actually look at the catalog, the items, all the screen protectors and the cases, the mobile cases, different cases, all of those, they should be able to actually look on the screen. So we need to have a designer as well there to come up with a design to actually kind of integrate, and the developer should integrate this design, the page, HTML or the kind of PHP page, into the backend. So when they select into the database, so when you select something, an item there, that gets into the shopping cart, or you are actually showing the details of that. So the developers would actually need to work on the solution of all of these to be able to link the front end with the back end through some kind of an API or middleware, right? So we talked about the IDE using some kind of a integrated development environment, something like Visual Studio.NET for .NET Microsoft solutions, or you can use GitHub for an open source collaborative platform. So we talked about all these decisions and the solutions that we need to consider last time. So we need to actually go ahead with that. We need to decide what kind of technology stack. When I say technology stack, this is something you keep hearing every now and then. So technology stack means what kind of tools and what kind of technologies you're using for developing your solution. So a stack generally means there is a front end, basically what is on the presentation layer. Then there is a middleware where it actually the application logic exists. And then there is a backend where the data layer. So typically this is, I mean, you can have multi-layers, a lot of other things, complexities involved, but then this is called an entire architecture. So typically web applications, websites, mobile applications, all of these are in this entire architecture. The other architecture used to be called as client server architecture. I don't want to get into details of these. We'll discuss this in the next few sessions anyway, but just want to actually talk about this because it's important that we know what is technology stack. So the decisions and the prioritization aspect of the technology stack, again, is very important. So you see that we pretty much prioritize everything that we do in terms of the technology stack, the tools, the features, functionality, requirements, the people, when they come into the project, and what kind of skills we get into the project.